Hello, beautiful people. Hello. Um, I've thought long and hard about doing this video, but I decided to go ahead and do it anyways because I'm sick and tired of Harry and Meghan's defamatory statements. They're slandered. They have, they're using Omid. Omid won't shut up. I mean, we'll go through the latest article about him. And I have a feeling that they're not going to go away until they are stopped. I think there's a famous saying is don't throw stones if your house is made out of glass. And Harry and Meghan's house is made out of very cheap, thin glass, which can easily be destroyed with one tiny little stone. So, who's Harry's father? I will give you some information that many of you might not be aware of. I will throw a name that you may not even be aware of, and we'll discuss it a little bit here now. I'm sick and tired of Harry using court cases because I firmly believe that he's doing a lot of court cases for two reasons: for lashing out for the fact that he's a true nobody. He's realized that he's a true nobody and that he's not important as he thought he was, and also because he keeps using he keeps using the statements made in court as his media platform. Why am I saying that? Okay, because court documents, and keep this in mind, are protected from libel. You cannot sue him for anything he says in court. Only court can hold him accountable for any any false declarations or witness statements in the form of going after him for perjury, like they could have gone after Meghan and Omid Scobie for perjury. But we know that he's protected because Meghan got away with blatantly committing perjury, and so did Omid Scobie. So Harry feels confident that he too can get away with perjury. So he's using and putting out witness statements that are blatantly false, because then he grabs those witness statements and reproduces them into in articles and publishes them in articles, because he knows that that is protected under libel. You can't sue. You can't sue. They are protected from libel. So this is why you hear him say the most outlandish things in court and gets other people to say the most outlandish things in court. And then he goes and pops it up on the media. And he quotes verbatim whatever it is in the court documents or the witness statements or his statements. So he goes up to court and he spills whatever bile is in his ginger stomach at the gut, in his gut, and says whatever the worst possible things you can think of. He says them as a witness, as his feelings, but in a witness statement in court or through court documents. And then he comes and gets, oh, you know what? Publish my statement. Publish what I said in court. Publish what so-and-so said in court. Why? Again, because it's protected from libel. And I'm surprised. Everybody knows this. And I'm surprised that the courts haven't stopped him. Now they haven't stopped him because, yeah, he's using the courts as his media, as his free media platform to trash the royal family and the very system that he's misusing and abusing for that. So I thought I'd put an end to this shit, or at least put this in your mind, for you to think about. Okay. As I said, we're going to discuss a couple of things and you make up your mind. Who is Harry's father? Because I'm sick and tired of what Omi just said right now. And I think it's time we held all these people accountable with truths that they may not want to face. Now, Omid says, my stomach flipped when I saw royal racist text published in his new book. Now that he's been caught lying again, He now decided to say that he had never sworn on his family's life that he had written any manuscript ever, that he could swear on his family's life that he had never, ever, ever written any manuscript with the names on it. Really, Omid? Really?
Hand on heart, look me in the eye and say it wasn't a publicity stunt.
On my life, on my family's life.
I don't need to go that far.
I know.
Those are the likes of people we have right now trashing the monarchy. And the monarchy thinks that ignoring or silence is the best way to deal with people like this in this day and age. How wrong they are. Because by not correcting nor addressing any of this, can you believe that even the translator came out and said, he's lying. The publicist right now has come out, and let me see if I have this here, because the publicist, the publishing house, has come out and said the following. This is the Dutch publisher. The explanation of Omid Scobie in his column about the Dutch editorial process in Eindstricht is factually incorrect, and we do not recognize ourselves in his story. Why can't they say the word lie? Why can't they say he's lying? Instead of saying factually incorrect, because that's lawsuit talk. We've had people, poor lady Susan Hussey, made to publicly apologize, leave the royal household, simply because she asked 8 questions. Where are you really from? To Marlene Headley, who went into the palace to race bait the shit out of everything. That woman was not walking out of there, just like Meghan Markle, without an invented grievance, an imaginary grievance. So Prince William hadn't even touched down in Boston when he issued that statement that there was no room or space or something like that for racism, and that he denounced that. Yet Charles and Catherine are being accused of the worst possible form of racism against an imaginary pregnant woman, to the point that they bullied her and forced her to almost kill herself, and they keep mum. I don't know who their PR advisors are, but they're stupid, because the message that they're sending is that everybody else in that regards is right true. Everybody else can be held accountable to racist accusations except us. They're not above water in this, and they should respond something. But since they're not, I thought, I give Harry and my beautiful subscribers something to think about. Now, the name I'm going to say is very controversial. His name is Max Clifford. He was first, he was a very prestigious person, and then he got involved in PR. He was, I don't know if you've seen a show called Ray Donovan. He's a fixer in Hollywood. Basically, he covers up all shit for people. So he used to work for very, very shady people, cover up a lot of shady stuff. Okay. And he wrote a book. He ended up being put in jail, and he died, I think, in 2012. I'm not sure. But it doesn't mean that what he's written and said is not true. Okay. It kind of gives me Russell Brand vibes, except that this guy was really, really powerful. When even in jail, that he had a big bet. It was like the godfather of things, because he knew so much stuff about so many shady people. And he had basically made sure that if anything happened to him, all of that would be known. So in jail, he was treated like a god, with big cushy bed. It was like an apartment there. And guess who he was friends with, and who he was the free. He never charged him. Who his client was, one of his clients was. He never charged him. It's James Hewitt. And yes, Max Clifford wrote a book. And to this day, James Hewitt has never come out publicly and said that Max Clifford was wrong. He has never come out. There's even a play in London based pretty much on the book. And Angela Levin, from what I understand, was actually part of co-writing the book and giving information and stuff like that. His problem was that he got too arrogant and he stepped on the wrong people's feet. So let me tell you what the book is called, and we're going to go a little bit through that. But before that, we're going to listen to a little piece of interview that he gave when he was doing the promo tour about his book and the part that concerns Harry's father's, or James Hewitt. Sorry, I'm not saying that it's the same. I'm just saying, you know what I mean. So here we have, this is Alex Belfield, who unfortunately is also in jail. But it doesn't mean, that this part isn't true. He used to work for BBC here, Alex Belfield. I think he also stepped on people's toes. So we're going to listen to Alex Belfield interviewing Max Clifford.
It's called Max Clifford, read all about it. There is one final question I've got to ask you about, which has been bugging me for weeks since seeing you on every TV show and in the papers, that I don't really see any reaction to, that to me sounds astounding.
They're talking about the book that he wrote. And in his book, he talks about a bunch of people because, as I said, this guy was a fixer, like a proper fixer for Sinatra, all kinds of people. So what he means, if they got in trouble, he would cover it up, or he knew a lot of dirt about people. So Alex Belfield is asking him about, this book, people are talking about a bunch of stuff, except this bit, which is actually surprising.
You write in the book regarding James Hewitt that he was in a relationship around the time, correct me if I'm wrong, that Diana had Prince Harry.
Well, before she had Prince Harry. Yeah, I mean, what we put in the book is, and Angela Levin, who obviously co-wrote the book with this interview, James at length, James came to me years before people were aware of his relationship with Diana and asked me to keep quiet about the fact it had gone on a lot longer than people realized.
So did you hear? Basically, he co-wrote this book, and Angela Levin interviewed James Hewitt. But this is the part that is really intriguing to me. Nobody's talking about this book. Nobody's talking about this particular piece of evidence, or at least this big interview, which involves the most powerful royal family in the world. You don't hear Angela Levin talking about it either. Is it because the mainstream media is covering up for it? I don't know, but you decide.
So we brought it all out because James said I could bring it out. And the fact that they actually had a personal relationship, if I can put it like that, going back a couple of years or so before Harry was born. So that's what comes out in the book. We're not claiming anything at all. We're just saying this is the reality. There's been a lot of, there's been nothing like the reality.
So he's saying right here that actually Princess Diana met James Hewitt at least a couple of years prior to Harry being born. Actually, that he met her before she even got married to Prince Charles. And yet everybody's choosing to ignore this bit. I don't know why, but you tell me.
Action from that particular part that I thought there's been tremendous reaction to some of the Sinatra stuff, some of the Brando stories, some of the other things I brought out around my own life and what went on. But there's actually been very little reaction to that. And like yourself, I was quite surprised.
When I read it, I was staggered. I mean, I think people can infer what we're saying because we can't say it. But I was gobsmacked when I read that there wasn't more fuss, because particularly the Larry Kings in America, I'm surprised didn't pick up on that and do a huge 2-hour special, because they love that kind of thing.
Yeah, but to be honest with you, James was asked to go on all the major chat shows and said no,
Yep. After this, when the royal family, the monarchy, and found out that this book was being made and was being co-written by Angela Levin and Max Clifford, because everybody was scared of Max Clifford, guys, because he has the dirt on everybody. So they I don't know who talked to James Hewitt, but he went on all major chat shows saying, I met Diana after. This is, but he never ever accused Max Clifford of lying. Isn't that interesting? And we're going to read a little bit from the book so you guys can see it. I can't read very much from the book because of, copyright issues. But basically, I'm going to read this passage here. Clifford first became involved in the story of Diana's life towards the end of 1984 when he received a phone call at his London office. The caller was James Hewitt, and he asked Max for help over a clandestine relationship with a VIP. It was to have unimagined consequences. The memory of that call is ingrained on Hewitt's brain. I desperately needed help and advice because there were all sorts of rumors doing the rounds about my relationship with Princess Diana. Although I initially hedged around identifying the woman, it was obvious Max immediately understood who I was talking about. Okay, because, and this is basically what he says, that Hewitt first caught sight of Diana at a polo match at Titworth, Hampshire, on a sunny June day in 1981, shortly before she and Charles were married. Hewitt, then a dashing young captain, and you go on, and he says that basically Princess Diana phoned him right after that in 1981, and they became friends. He makes sure to say that Princess Diana didn't have any romantic intentions with him. It was just friends because she was deeply in love with Charles. But then after the wedding, she started phoning him because he was like a trusted friend that she confided in. And that one day it turned sexual. Okay. So yes. So you make of that what you will. Okay. You make of that what you will. But the implication is very serious here. And, people have a right. It's incredible how the press conspires, is complicit with the royal household. This is a very good book, guys. I will leave you the details in the video description of the book. You can buy it. I don't know if you can get it online. But basically, this Max Clifford guy, he was discredited afterwards because he stepped on too many powerful people's toes. Because he really was a fixer. He knew everybody's shit. So, and as I said, James Hewitt sought him out. He never charged James Hewitt for that, for giving him advice. He's the one who gave James Hewitt that advice to say that to cover up for the affair, they should come up with the idea that he was Princess Diana's writing instructor for the boys and Princess Diana as well. There's a lot of stuff in there. But he says that it was in June 1981, and him and Diana became fast friends. He really stresses out that they were just friends and that it wasn't until 1982 that things became romantic. After Prince William was born, things really, when Diana realized that Charles didn't love her and he was back with Camilla. He had never stopped seeing Camilla. This is why Princess Diana said that it was a miracle that Harry was born at all, because they were not having any relations. None. You guys have heard when Princess Diana said it was by real miracle that Harry was born, because by then, and when she got pregnant with Harry, that's when their relationship kind of got in a better, Charles and her were in a better place. She said then later that it was the happiest she'd ever been until Harry was born, and he was born a ginger and a boy because Prince Charles wanted a girl. So why, I ask you, is the press quiet about this? Why aren't people speaking more about this? Why? Why are they so helping? They haven't denounced any of the other stuff he said about the other people that because he talks about a bunch of people in that book. They haven't said that, they haven't actually, nobody in that book that was involved, that was named in that book, has come out and say he's lying. And the part about Prince Harry was kept mum and James Hewitt. For copyright and legal reasons, I can't say what we want to say here. But I think there's a very good chance that, that Prince Harry's fatherhood should be questioned. He was born in 1983 or 84, I think. When was he born? I can't remember. And he called this guy, James Hewitt, contacted 1984, I think that he was born. Max Clifford was contacted by James Hewitt at the end of 1984, right after Prince Harry was born. And the reason why James Hewitt contacted him, I will leave the link so you can read this article, okay, guys? So don't worry, I will leave the link in the video description for you to read this article. So you can go through, because I can't read it too much because of copyright and other stuff. But I will leave the link. So in the video description, after you watch my video, and if you like the video, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. I have new exclusive Christmas merch, which is original design. So please go buy a mug, buy a hoodie, buy a jumper. It all goes to the school. But after you watch the video, go check out the link and read the article. I will leave the link for the article and the link to the little video. But if you read the article, it's more than enough, because it's very detailed that James Hewitt called Max Clifford. That's how he got involved, because James Hewitt knew that Max Clifford was a fixer. And he was worried now that Harry had been born, that the story was going to come out that he had been involved with Princess Diana before he was born, because it was the truth. So they needed to change the narrative and say, so this is why Max Clifford said, no, I was her writing instructor for the boys, and say that you met him after the kid was born. But apparently their relationship went much longer. So you decide what you believe. But again, nobody that he talked about in his book has come out and say he's lied about it. And the press have chosen not to talk about this thing, and instead have discredited this man, who probably was a jerk, and God knows he did a lot of shady stuff. But what do you think?